They may not know everything about sports, but the view from their couch is pretty good. So kick back and enjoy a brew, because you know they already are. Here is Eric Dorsch.
They're crazy enough to let me be in charge.
Russ Ivanek.
8 out of 10 from the judges. 5 out of 10 from the German judge.
And Justin Marcus.
Our best defense has been long, hard, and yellow all year long.
This is Armchair Sports Talk.
Ben just dumps it down ice, plays onside, a race for the puck, and they score. It's Tatar. Here's Domi. Shaw scores.
Down for Gallagher. They get up ice quickly. Gallagher shoots. He scores.
In comes Drouin to the slot. Domi, the shot. He scores. Max Domi makes it 4-0 from Jonathan Drouin. Kotkaniemi. Down low, they score. Wide open.
As long as he was, Petrie really stabilized that defense. And I remember when he got traded, they weren't real friendly on that whole deal.
In front, they score again. Domi with a perfect feed to Shaw. As we suspected, Jonathan Bernier to come out, down by 5 to start the third period. With a good feed in for Domi. Scores. Bowie to the far side, couldn't clear it in the slot, down low, and they score. What a play. Domi to Drouin, to Andrew Shaw. Canadians get a huge 2 points in their chase for the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the Red Wings fall by 7.
All right, guys, I'm going to get right to it. I think we should fire our board up because that was just painful to listen to. We'd fire him, but unfortunately it's me. So welcome to Armchair Sports Talk. I'm your host, Eric Dorsch, and that one was a tough one. We're going to get to it here in a little bit. Red Wings fall 8-1 to the Montreal Canadiens, and Russ, that was not a fun one. That was a real tough one to get through.
No, and it almost felt just as long having to listen to all of them over again.
Yeah.
You're killing me, man.
I know. That's my... Wait, I can make you happy. Hold on. I have. This was the other goal.
Here's Green. Took the shot, tipped down at Butler's, they score! Mantha!
There you go. The Red Wings scored one. There you go. That should make you feel a little better.
We got one. Hey, let me ask you a quick question on that, because a trade deadline just happened. What do we have more of? Goals allowed from Montreal or no trade clauses on the team?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's actually...
There's no winners here. That's your spoiler.
In case you guys didn't hear it, that's Justin's laugh. It sounds a little like this.
Please stop it.
Now, Justin, you said before the show started, you didn't even watch a second of this, so I kind of gave you the recap. Was it as painful listening to it, or would you rather just been oblivious of everything that happened?
No, for a second I thought my phone was ringing because you were playing my ringtone. Like, I thought for a second I had to pick up a call. Like, this is music to my ears, my friend.
Now, Jay, the other thing is, because to cheer Russ up, I played the Mantha goal. Would you have rather it just been like 8-0? Would that have made you feel even better, or does that Mantha goal at least kind of soothe you a little bit? Because I know how much you love Anthony Mantha.
That's a loaded question. I mean, like, for real, I'd rather have them lose 3-2 in regulation every single game. They got absolutely dumped on. So the fact that they had one redeeming goal, great, but it might as well have been 8-0 anyways. Like, they did not show up to play that day at all.
No, I think that was pretty obvious, Jay. We knew that by like halfway through the second period. When they scored 5 goals on us. Yeah, that one was tough. Russ went back and looked at it freeze frame, that first play, or that first goal. I maintain that Tatar was offsides. Russ maintains that he beat it, that it was very close. It just, sitting there watching it, you know what made it hurt a little more and probably put me there was that it was a former wing. It was a guy I actually liked on the team scoring on us for the first goal. And it was just, I'll maintain it was offsides. Russ has the proof to say I'm wrong, but that looked a little offsides to me, Russ.
No, it was on, but Hronek's got to, like, drag him down or something. You can't just let him walk it. He gave up on the play twice, and that's how Tatar ends up scoring. Like, tie your guy up. This is easy.
Yeah. It's tough. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot happened in the NHL with the trade deadline, a bunch of moves. We're actually going to give what we think were the best trades or the trade we liked most. We're going to cover all that, but first we got to get out of the way because it's probably the thing we're, of all of us, I'm probably the only one that's a real basketball fanatic here. But a couple weeks ago, the big North Carolina-Duke rivalry game, everybody's set. Best player in the world gets to finally play against North Carolina. It's going to be entertaining. And he made it all about 7 seconds before Zion Williamson's shoe, Nike shoe, decided to just explode, and he sprained his knee. Sat out the last 2 games. A lot of speculation on if he'll even come back and play in college at all, because he's pretty much the unanimous first overall pick in this upcoming NBA draft if he decides to go. Jay, I know where you are. You're always that pay that man his money, go get your money kind of guy. But he's said in previous interviews that he's committed to Duke. He came here. He wants to, he'd be letting his team and his coaches down if he didn't play. He's averaging 21.5 points a game, almost averaging 10 rebounds, 2 assists. Guy's got 25-plus points 12 times this year and a season high of 35 points against Syracuse in January. Jay, if you're Zion, are you shutting it down until the draft, or are you sticking to your guns and following up on what you said that you're committed to being here in Duke? Because he steps on the floor, they're an automatic contender for a national championship.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong way for him to take it. I mean, in college athletics, you're playing for pride. You're not paying, you're playing for a potential paycheck, but you're playing for pride. So I think, if he's a man of his word and he sticks next to it, I think that shows character in athletics in college that I would love to see more often. You see people in football sitting out all the time. But then on the same coin, like, flip it to the other side. If he sticks out and stays out because he wants to get paid and he's worried about the future, I can't fault him on that either. I guess for me, I'd love to see him actually come back, because if he's going to, hold true to his words and he's playing for pride, I think it's a nice look from the young man who's about to get paid no matter what he does.
Oh, absolutely. And I think for me though, he'd be insane to play more than 1 year in college. I mean, don't get me wrong, all these guys I think should get a degree to fall back on, because we saw with him, there's no guarantee you're not going to shred your knee on a fluke play and your career's over. So, but honestly, he's more than likely going to the draft after this year. But he's legitimately has a chance to say, I went to college for 1 year and claimed a national championship in the 1 year I was there. So I think he'd be stupid not to. But, Russ, I mentioned to you last week that NBA's discussed potentially lowering the eligibility age to just 18. As of now, you got to play in college at least a year. Now they're talking about if you're 18, you can come play. Kobe Bryant actually was quoted as saying, players should be able to choose and decide what the hell they want to do, to be honest. Whether you want to go to college or not really depends on you. Obviously, Kobe came straight out of high school. He did all right. He had a couple decent years there in the NBA. A couple people know who he is. But where do you fall on this? Because with the NFL or with college football, you have to go for a few years. Most other sports, you have to go for a few years in order to have a chance at this. Are you someone who thinks that this whole one-and-done thing is just kind of a waste of time, or should these guys have to go to college before they can play pro ball?
In trying to come up with an opinion on this, I kind of looked at the other leagues, and, you have baseball, you have hockey that does draft guys really young, and you can come up and play 18 if you have the talent and ability to do so. The difference between that and basketball is their feeder systems are far more developed. So I'm okay with them lowering it, but I would love to see them devote some resources into building up an actual feeder program, because that's what college basketball is, and that's the seasoning that these players get so that they're ready. You take away that, then you're taking away a key development point, and you could be stunting a lot of growth for a lot of players. So, yeah, more power to the player. I'm almost always more pro player as far as these rights go, but I think it's an opportunity to really hinder some development unless they take steps for it. Like, let's take the G League seriously, starting with not calling it the friggin' G League because Gatorade sponsors it.
Yeah,
that'd be a good start.
That's true. I was the one who texted G League today, so I guess I have to take fault for that. As the only one here who's actually a dad, Jay, I'm going to ask you to kind of weigh in from the other side here. They make if your kids came to you right out of high school and said, I've decided I'm going to go pro. Nora plays for, a women's hockey team, or he plays golf, decides to do that. I'm not going to college. I'm just going to go straight to the tour, or I'm going to try to make the tour. I mean, we all know how we were at 18. None of us were mature enough to say that we could have been successful as, professional athletes right out of high school. And I just think you need that little bit of time to develop, to, mature a little. You get to see a sample size of what the league is like. You're under scrutiny at everything you do. You can't go out and party the night before and then come out and score 6 points and expect them not to come after you for what were you doing out partying the night before. So as someone who actually has kids, could you imagine a kid at 18 saying, "Yep, I'm going to go play professional sports"?
I can. What I like to compare it to is like and Russ can help fill in the blanks here, because I'm missing what the term is called. But in the NHL, when you are in the minors, or when you are in any like minor league, be it the Q or anything like that, you can get put on, and I think Russ is in an exemption list or exception status.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is when you know. So like when NHL players, when they're coming up in the ranks, they get red flagged in a good way that they're a part of this exemption list. Like they're unique as hell. Like this is a good thing. So as a parent, I think when you know that your kid is that mature and can take those steps, you're going to advocate them, any day of the week. For my kids personally, I want the duality of sports and, a degree. Look at Zion. Anything could happen at any point in time. Zion, say he blew his knee out and just obliterated it. Cool. You were hot for a while and now you're not, and time's going to go on and people are going to forget about you. So me personally, you're getting a damn degree because you need something to fall back on. But if you're a parent and you got a kid who's they're just a stud, they're this exempt, athlete, then roll the dice and let them get their money as soon as they can.
No, I understand. And I think the way I worded it may have been a little odd, because what I was trying to say is a guy like Zion is a once-in-a-generation player. There's the reason they're saying he's the next LeBron, because we haven't seen this kind of talent all in one since LeBron. Probably same as LeBron was the next Jordan. It's like he's a generational player. But for me, the reason I'm more concerned about it is this is going to breed a bunch of people who have no business going from high school to the pros. If you look at over the years, like back when they actually let you go right from high school, there is maybe a handful of guys that can say they went from high school to the pros, and it was a seamless transition. They were impact immediately, and they stuck. I mean, look at Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown was like 7'2", 250 coming out of high school. He was exactly what you would want a center to be, and the guy was a total bust. He was terrible. But then you have guys like, Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant and all that, who it was an immediate transition and they were fine. So what worries me about this dropping it to 18 and saying you don't have to go to college if you don't want to is there's going to be a lot of these guys who think, I played against Zion one time in high school and I scored, 15 points. I clearly can keep up with him. No, go to college. Go get a degree, because if you enter the draft, don't get drafted, now you've missed out on a chance of trying to, have a college, that college education that you were going to get for free anyway through scholarship. And what are you going to do now? If basketball was your ticket, you just kind of wasted it trying to jump the gun early. So that's what worries me. I'm not worried about Zion or players like Zion make the transition. I'm worried about those guys who, they were pretty decent in high school in a small town, who now think, I can go to the pros, and it's going to backfire on them. I'd rather see you go to college, check it there, because if you go from averaging 25 points a game in high school to going to college and playing at somewhere like UMass and you're only averaging 7 points a game, you probably aren't ready to play in the NBA quite yet. And it's just going to lead to a long road of problems. I don't mind a guy like Zion going. It's more for those people that need college in order to get there. There have been so many people that never would have made pro if they didn't go to college first and realize, I need to work on some things.
Well, and that's why
do you think that the NBA would be concerned about that too? Because college athletics is great and all, but when you transition over to the NBA, that's their product. They don't really care about how some random college team was. So if they need to safeguard their own products from not experienced or mature players, maybe they step in and do that.
But see, I don't think the NBA is worried about that because of social media being what it is. A lot of these big name high school players, you know who they are because of Twitter and YouTube and all that, and ESPN showing, top 10 dunks, and half of them are high schoolers and all that. So the NBA is not going to have a problem with that because you're bringing, if you draft, Joe Smith from Brooklyn, you're going to get his following of people that follow him. You're getting viewership. You're getting all these people that are hype on. They don't give a crap if you get drafted and 2 years later you're, back coaching the high school team that you were just playing for. Is you brought in viewers. People are going to watch. That's good for the NBA. That's what they want. And that's the reason, the NBA, it's a business. We all know that. It's a business. The NBA is using you to get what they need. They don't care what happens to you. They really don't. The only people they care about are like LeBron, because if LeBron, something happens to LeBron, they're screwed for a while. So I don't think that really matters. I don't think the NBA will ever safeguard, because if players keep coming in and they keep failing, that doesn't do anything to the NBA. It doesn't hurt them at all. There's going to be guys that are going to stick. There's going to be those guys that are smart enough to realize, you know what? I'm not quite ready yet. A year or two in college, let me see how I do there. Let's see if it translates. I go from facing the best people that live in my city to the best people in the country. So let's see, and let's see how it transitions. And that's just where I don't think the NBA could care one way or the other. The NBA is just doing this because so many people are complaining about the fact that Zion should have never had to step on a college basketball court. Because LeBron didn't. Back when LeBron was, his age, LeBron was able to go right into the NBA. If LeBron goes to college, who knows what happens? The same thing could have happened. First play of the game for Duke or for North Carolina or UCLA, could have shredded his knee and then never hear about LeBron ever. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So it's real quick to sum this up, it's just a yes or no. Russ, if Zion comes back, Duke the immediate favorite to win a national championship this year?
No, because I'm never picking Duke.
That's fair.
You got to have principles, damn it.
My man.
Okay. Russ, you there? You're a little fuzzy. You're fair. Russ is gone.
And he's gone.
And he's gone. This is the Eric and Justin show. Justin, same question. Real quick, if Zion comes back, is Duke the immediate number one to win the national championship?
I got to go with yes. I don't see how they wouldn't win with him being back on the court for them. So as much as I want State to win, but it's a whole other story.
Well, him being back and the fact that Duke honestly probably has the first and second overall pick in the draft playing for them this year.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks well. But Jay, I want you to, if you have some way to record this other than me recording it, because I'm going to delete it as soon as I say it. I want to say it to you. I want you to hear this. Your Spartans played very, very well against the Wolverines this past weekend.
Ugh.
And it's tough to say, but I have to say it. And I'm going to say it right now because we're talking about basketball. We're talking about NBA prospects. In my opinion, Cassius Winston is the best point guard in the country right now. I definitely could see him being a lottery pick if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Can you say that all over again, please? I'd like to hear it twice.
Okay, here you go. I'll repeat it. Tom Izzo is stupid. There you go.
You shut up, you.
Happy to repeat it. I would say we'll talk NFL, but we're so close to having to re-up on the NFL that we're just going to stay away from it a while. Quick recap. Antonio Brown going to go somewhere else. Bell's going somewhere else. Jason Witten's decided he wants to be a 55-year-old man trying to play tight end in the NFL again.
Yikes.
And surprise, surprise, Johnny Manziel got kicked out of another league. It's great. It's fantastic. That's our NFL recap. Hope everybody enjoyed it. No, but a couple weeks, we're texting about a couple weeks. We're going to have to start with the draft preview and all that. So trying to get as much of a break away from the NFL and football as we can because Lord knows during the season, the NFL takes up a majority of our show. So, but we're going to transition into hockey. And before we get into the trade deadline, all the big moves, the Red Wings and all that, and how terrible they are, and Lord help me, Steve Yzerman, please tell me you're coming and you're not watching a single one of these games, because right now that's like leaving the hot chick for the ugly girl with braces, and I'm so scared that he's going to back out of this. Yeah, that was a really good one. I actually like that one a lot.
Don't hate on proper dental care.
I know. That can be corrected.
That's good hygiene, man.
Yeah, this is gonna be like one of those teen movies where he comes in and fixes the ugly girl, and you realize all she had to do was take the glasses off and take the ponytail off, and she's perfect.
You mean get rid of the no trade clauses?
Yeah, that's what they are actually. No trade clauses and Danny DeKaiser. That Danny DeKaiser's the ponytail. So, but
apparently Freddie Prinze Jr. While you're at it,
that's what. Yeah, Steve Yzerman is the Freddie Prinze Jr.
This has gotten away from us.
Yeah, this is. Don't worry, guys. You're never going to hear any of this. This is all going to be deleted in what's called editing. That's why what no one realizes, Justin actually talks a lot more on this show. It just never makes it to the final cut.
Ah, shut up, you.
All right, well, Justin's going to have a lot to say about this, so this is perfect. We're going to get to hockey now, but we're going to get to hockey starting off with some fun. I saw one of the most enjoyable things I've seen in a while when it comes to the hockey. It was 6'2" Evander Kane deciding, I'm going to fight a tree. I'm going to go up and try to fight Zdeno Chara, the guy who's 6'9" and weighs about 50 pounds more than I do. I'm going to try to, let's see how that goes. It didn't go well. Zdeno Chara beat the crap out of him. And by the way, Zdeno Chara had to stand up and still keep the fight going because Evander Kane's hitting him while he's down. Chara got up and just started meleeing on this guy. Justin, what were your thoughts on the Evander Kane-Zdeno Chara fight?
A lot, actually.
Okay.
My brain went wild on this one.
All right.
First of all, shout out to Evander Kane for doing something that Brendan Smith could not do or would not do. Because I remember Brendan Smith looking at Chara and Chara looking down at him, laughing his ass off because he actually wanted to fight him but didn't want him to fight him. So Evander Kane committed to fighting someone who was probably going to lose. So he gets credit off the top of that. Number two, before the play even happens, Evander Kane finishes a check on Chara, which was late. It could have been called interference, but, the refs were letting extra hits happen. Chara pokes the puck away from Kane and then proceeds to check Kane aggressively and kind of followed up with his elbow. So Kane starts it, Chara finishes it, and where his body is at and how he's going to hit someone, he's going to destroy them. So, I've seen players let up on hits, and I think it's uncalled for. Chara needs to understand that he's a big fucking dude. And the fact that he just railed into Kane had to fight him. Kane did what Brendan Smith couldn't do. So I know the fight was great, but Chara to me just rubs me the wrong way. I do not like the man. He's a great player, but I just he's not aware of his size sometimes, and he gets away with things.
Is there anybody on Boston you do like? No. To be fair, that's fine. That's a very fair answer. But to be honest, to your point, two things. One, Evander Kane fought him because Chara put Kane on his ass 2 times in 10 seconds. I mean, he laid him out twice and put him on his butt both times. Second of all, the whole elbow thing, Evander Kane's head is where Chara's elbow is because of height. Chara is a foot taller than everybody else. So I heard you, you guys mentioned earlier in the text about suspension and penalty and all that. I think it's fine. It's one of those things. There are times where you go to hit someone and it's tough to literally in that split second go, okay, got to bring the arm up to get it out of the way, lift the head, should probably move a little bit. There are very few people in the world that have that fast of reflexes when you're spinning around and there's a guy right there. So to me, I think it was a good hit, and Kane just you got a little embarrassed. You got a little embarrassed on TV that somebody put him on his butt twice. He thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And not to mention, that was his second fight of the night. I don't remember who the other guy he fought was, but Chara even tried to intervene in that fight. Chara's just wanted to go that night, and Kane gave it to us. So, Russ, what about you? I guess I'll ask first. Penalty, should he have gotten in trouble? But 2, your impression of this fight, and what kind of mindset do you have to be in to go after a guy that's a foot taller than you and literally could put his arm out and do that little keep your head away from me kind of move?
Well, I'll start with a shout-out to Brendan Smith for trying to fight Chara the right way and not what Evander Kane did.
Yeah.
And let's dispel this whole Chara put his elbow into someone's head because, well, he's just so much taller. He's 7 inches taller than Kane. The average male head is 9 inches. So it's far smaller of a gap than we're talking about. It's not like Evander Kane's head is at Chara's elbow, and Chara bends his knees deep into that hit before he hits him right in the head. Led with his elbow. Was it a dirty hit? Yeah, a little bit. Probably earns a penalty. Not a suspension because it really wasn't all that malicious. He was trying to hurt him, not make him hurt.
To preface, though, that was an exaggeration. The only way his elbow is at eye level is if I'm on the ice with him. But exactly.
But it wasn't just you saying it. All I've heard on social media is, "Oh, he's a monster," and you've been hearing it for years with Chara. Like, no, he's pretty aware of his body. This is one of the best athletes in the world.
Absolutely.
But the way that Kane hops up and fish hooks him on the collar to bring him down, like that's a scumbag move. He was 100% embarrassed. I think you nailed that one, Eric, and he was just trying to stand up for himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think the embarrassment turned into more shame when Chara did get back up and just kind of held him down and beat the shit out of him for a bit. So he got what was coming to him. But this is why we have fighting in hockey. This is the exact reason. Like, a guy took exception, you took exception to that, you fight, we move on, right? Like, it's done. I think both guys were in the wrong. They fought each other. We're good.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've watched this multiple times from different angles to see it. To me, the more despicable thing is Kane hitting him while he's down. Like, I have no problem if you fight a guy.
Yeah, that was dirty as hell.
And I understand, like, the whole still swinging when you both fall down or, like, at the end, just because you see it with boxers, too. The boxers have that one extra punch. Just because your brain is already geared up for that next punch, your body just hasn't done it yet. So I don't mind that, but you knocked him down. Like, surprising, too. He was not looking when you started swinging. He was on the ground, and you were still going. That, to me, is the more despicable thing. You want to fight this guy, give him a shove, get his attention, and say, let's go. That tells me, that to me is like, what's that guy? Was that Chris Weidman, the guy with the dirty-ass hit on the ref a few years ago?
Yeah.
That's
his leg.
What's that?
I think he's flashing his leg or something.
No, I thought he no. I'm talking about the guy. He was on like Calgary or something. The ref turned around and he said I didn't see him and he just laid him out.
Yeah, he cleared him right in the back.
Yeah, that to me is like that. That's saying, hey, I'm not that good at this that I can handle you when you're ready to go. I got a cheap shot you real quick. Yes, was the Chara hit dirty, a little dirty in that? Yes, it's at that level because, like you said, Russ, he is one of the best athletes on the planet. He knows he's bigger than everybody else. He knows that he's got that advantage. So, yeah, the hit wasn't great. But, like I said, I think he was just embarrassed, and embarrassment got to him. He cheap shots him, hits him while he's down. And guess what? Karma got you because that dude got up, and then he handled you. So, it is what it is. I enjoyed it. I'm not a Chara fanatic. I enjoy watching the guy because it's just so different. He's so much bigger than everybody else. You're wondering, how the hell can this guy do what he did? He's so lanky and awkward. I can't understand how he's that great at this game. But
you should go watch YouTube videos in the off season. He climbs ropes. Yes. That's how he trains. He climbs up a rope.
Yeah.
Because he's like already halfway to the ceiling. All he has to do is jump, and he gets to ding the bell.
So yeah, that was just me. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a cool fight to see. But yeah, if we're talking about it, I genuinely think the hitting him while he's down is the more despicable of the two things. The hit wasn't great, but like you said, you can explain away like, why his elbow was there, kind of thing. You can ration it other ways that he may not have intentionally done it. He probably did. There's no rationing away. Oh yeah, I didn't realize he was on the ground. Well, he's always taller than you, so if his head is below you, you know that he had to have been down in some way, shape, or form. Now if you're hitting like Jordan Tutu or someone like that, then we can understand it. But this guy's that much taller than you that you knew he was down. You knew what you were doing.
Yep, and shout out to Brendan Smith for trying to do it right.
Yeah, that's
all I had to do was drop a glove, and that fight would have actually happened. But I'm pretty sure he had him gorilla glued to his hands.
All right, well, we got to take a quick little break here, do a little promotion for the website. When we come back, it's time to talk our NHL Trade Deadline, all the fun stuff. We're gonna give our opinions on the two trades the Red Wings did make, give our opinions on our favorite trade of it, and see if there's any trades Justin just can't get out of his head that he just enjoyed that may not have made the marquee top name trade. So when we come back, we'll do that right after this.
Hi, this is Jason Pinkett from Pucking Around and Spinning the Wheels on Sports Radio Detroit. Check us out every Sunday over on the SRD Hockey feed on Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. That's SRD Hockey in your search bar. New episodes every week.
This is Armchair Sports Talk.
All right, we are back here on Armchair Sports Talk. It's time to talk NHL Trade Deadline and all the fun things that happened over those days, because while Russ and I enjoy the holidays, we enjoy Christmas and all that, this is Justin's Christmas. This is Justin's favorite time of the year. You know, he's all about it, loves watching it. So, Jay, we'll get right to it. Red Wings made a couple trades during that time. We sent Gustav Nyquist to the San Jose Sharks the same day, basically the same day we had just gotten done playing them, for a 2019 second-round pick and a 2020 conditional third-round pick. Then we traded, I believe his first name's Nick. I forgot he was even on the team, to be honest with you.
Oh boy.
No,
man, he's been the bestie.
I know, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Nick Jensen and a 19 fifth-round pick for defenseman Madison Bowie and a 2020 second-round pick. Jay, of the two, was there one you liked a little more? We acquired a lot of picks over the next couple of years, which means we're definitely looking to improve through the draft. So I guess we'll go with it first. The first one was the Jensen trade. So your thoughts on the Jensen trade to Washington?
That trade was all right. I mean, like Russ said, and Russ is absolutely right, Nick Jensen has been phenomenal defensively for the Wings.
Yeah.
So he sparked the interest of a team who needs defense. We get another defenseman in return, so we're swapping D's. Good job. But we also swapped some picks. So we got a younger defensive guy. Will he stick around on our team and actually be effective? Who knows? I don't know that much on Bowery, but I know we had a return of a better draft pick than we once had. So that's, it's a marginal win in my book. So I've got no issues with it.
All right, that's fair. And then the Nyquist trade, there's got to be a little bit. Nyquist was at least a decent player for us, so I know you're all for, get rid of him, get this as low as we can kind of thing, but the Nyquist trade, are you with it, or was it kind of one that was a little more surprising?
I'm fine with Nyquist, because you can take the name Nyquist and make it Helm, or make it Yurko, or make it any mid-sized winger that was supposed to be something but never reached their ceiling. So I'm fine with it. My favorite part of that trade, though, is the conditional draft pick in 2020. Because if San Jose, I believe, makes the Stanley Cup final, it turns into a second rounder.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that, because San Jose is loaded. Between all the talent they have on the top six of all their forwards, now adding Nyquist to shore in a little bit of extra help, I'm okay with that. I also think that, only one guy gets to score at a time. So San Jose is going to, they're going to share that puck around. So Nyquist's numbers might not be, as high to say, wow, they really made out on the deal. But I do love the conditional aspect of the trade, because I think that might turn into a second rounder for us.
Okay, that's fair. And Russ, before we get to you, Jay, we did the video last week of who we wanted to see where. Was there a trade that didn't happen for the Red Wings that you kind of wanted to see? There was talks of Jimmy, teams calling about Cronwall. I mentioned that I would like to have seen Helm go, because to me Helm is just an older version of Athanasiou, so we can move on from that and let's stick with the youth. Was there a trade that didn't happen for these Red Wings that you wanted to see?
You asking me?
Yeah, you.
Okay, just double checking. I want a lot, but what I want is probably not reality, which I can understand. I don't think there's anything sexy about Cronwall or Jimmy moving. Helm, yes. Some of the bad contracts we have with Abby, yeah. But when you're offsetting talent with money, and then you're taking away money and then getting rid of talent on, Cronwall and Howard, I don't think there really was a market there for them. Whether or not the no trade clauses or the modified trade clauses got in the way, who knows? But I'm not surprised. Like, I wanted everything and anything immediately. Like, who doesn't? But I was okay with what we did. It wasn't sexy, but it was something for Yzerman to pick up and try to piece together.
It's fair. It's fair. Russ, over to you. I'll let you can pick between Jensen and Nyquist, which one you want to touch on first, and then was there a trade between or that the Red Wings didn't make that you would have liked to have seen that would have given you a little more confidence coming out of this trade deadline?
Well, I think I'll start with the last topic, just so.
Okay.
Well, because it's fresher in my head than the other two, and I have notes on those.
That's fair.
But the trade I would have liked to see is somebody from the bottom six going out. I mean, it seems like Holland just took what was given to him as far as these trades go. Jensen was a no-brainer. He was gone. Nyquist, if you could get him to waive the no-trade clause, was going to be gone. And he waived it for exactly one team, and that's where he went. Outside of that, he didn't create any value with any trades. And freaking Eric Gabranson got traded. Right? Thomas Yurko got traded. Like, create some value where there isn't as much perceived value there. That's what I'm looking. That's how a rebuild becomes successful, right? Take advantage of a desperate team. Take advantage of a team that might not know the player as well. Like, whatever it is, that's your job, to create value through trades, and he didn't. You know, someone like Glendening, Justin, someone like Helms, someone like Daly, that you can sell some skill that they have, some specialty role, and get something for them. Okay? And there just really wasn't anything there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Going to the two trades that did get made, Jensen, I loved the return. Getting a second for him, Holland actually stood pretty hard on that, and he got it, which is great. Madison Bowie he's a project, right? Like, he's a young, big, right shot D that is not ready to be playing regular NHL minutes right now, but he's 22 again, right? So he can, worst case, he's Dylan McElrath, who's doing okay down in Grand Rapids. Best case, he's a healthy scratch every now and then, or he's a third pairing guy. Hey, you still need guys like that on cheap contracts, and he's only making $1 million. So I like rolling the dice on a guy needing a change of scenery.
Okay.
The Nyquist trade was a little underwhelming. It kind of disappointed me, and I know Holland was handcuffed by the no trade clause, but who gave him the no trade clause? Right? Like, you can't use that as an excuse that Holland didn't do as well when Holland's the one that dug the hole and sat himself in it. That's your own doing. You get to get blamed for that. I see a lot of people comparing it to the Zuccarello trade, and at the surface, it is, right? It's the second and the third. That could be a second. For Zuccarello, got a conditional second and a conditional third. The difference is, if Dallas re-signs him, that third jumps to a first. If Dallas goes to the Western Conference Final, that second goes to a first. Look, I don't expect the Western Conference Final thing to happen at all. But if he re-signs, then this is a first and a second for Zuccarello, and that looks very different than the best-case scenario of the Gus Nyquist trade, which would be 2 seconds for a team that, look, they're going to be late in the round picks. So I would have liked to see a little bit more come there. I mean, I don't blame them for not getting a first, because San Jose doesn't have a first the next 2 years, so there wasn't a lot they could do there with him only being able to go to San Jose. But I don't know, get a little more creative with some of the conditions or something.
Okay, it's fair. I just because I'm going to do what Russ did, what's fresh in the head, I'm going to go with. I agree entirely with the Nyquist one. It was blah. It was a trade. We got something for it. I would have liked a little more out of it. Like you said, the no trade clause makes it tough, and the fact that they don't have a first round pick. I would have liked a little more. What I would have liked, I don't know. It's tough to say. I think it would be one of those things where I'd kind of know it when I see it. I liked Nyquist. I was never that down on him. Did I think he was going to be an elite talent for us that was going to be a top-level contributor? No. He was a nice piece. Could put the puck in the net. He was decent. I always said that of the two, I liked Tatar a lot more than Nyquist. I saw a lot more talent there. We dealt Tatar away, so I got to live with Nyquist, and now he's gone too. Jensen, he was a good defenseman. He was. I like the return. Jay keeps talking about, tank for these picks. Well, we'll just get a ton of picks. Let's just draft as much as we can. Let's see.
Hell yeah.
You draft that many people, eventually someone's got to be right. All right, so I'm good with it. That's fine, is what it is. I don't know a lot about Madison. That's not for, just saying that he's nobody. It's just, I honestly, it would be impossible to keep track of every single player in this league that effectively. So we'll see what happens with him. Hopefully, age, he's young. Hopefully he can develop. Maybe a couple years from now we look back and go, wow, that was actually a really, really smart move. That worked out great. Or we could be like, he's not on the team anymore? I didn't think he was going to be. So we'll see what happens there. I'm standing by what I said in the video. I think Darren Helm was a guy that, when I look at this team, when I look at their skill sets, like you said, Russ, they're the skill sets you're going to try to sell to other teams. All he is fast. He's very, very fast. We know that if he gets ahead of a guy and the goalie doesn't just fall over, more than likely it's going to go right off the pads or he's going to miss entirely. He doesn't do a lot else for that. And when I look at this team, and I said it in the video, if speed's all you're selling, we've got guys that are faster than him. So now I have to ask, okay, then why are you still here? If you're, because these other guys are fast, but they can actually do something. Dylan Larkin and Anthony Ciu, maybe Larkin a little more than Anthony Ciu, when they get out on the break, they can actually make a goalie, bite. They can actually do something to get the goalie to move. If you're a goalie and you see Darren Helm coming at you and no one else, you stand in the middle of the net, you put your glove and your blocker up, and you go, okay, which one are you going to hit? Because he's not going to do anything to make you miss. He'll probably lose the puck before he makes you miss. So that's a guy I would like to have seen gone. We said before the show, talking about it, I would have been okay if Jimmy left. Like I said, Jimmy and Cronwall, they are two pieces of, remnants of an old team, a team that doesn't exist anymore. The ones that we grew up on, that we loved, that next generation with, Datsuk and Zetterberg, they're still remnants of that. So if we're going to move on and we're going to go into this rebuild, we move on from everything. I think Cronwall, I don't think they should re-sign Cronwall next year. We'll see what they do. If you can get him at the right price, okay, I'll live with it. But Jimmy's, we've seen the best we're going to see out of Jimmy. There's not going to be some miraculous turnaround that we sign him to a contract next year and all of a sudden he balls out, leads the league in save percentage, and he just becomes phenomenal again. That's just not going to happen. We know what we're getting with Jimmy, and it's not going to change. So if we could have gotten something for him, we could have improved in another area, or at least gotten some prospect and picks in another area. I'm fine with it. The season's over. Let Bernier and some guy from Grand Rapids finish out the year. We'll deal with the goalie situation in the offseason. We've got enough picks that, hey, maybe we could find a goalie in the draft. If not, there's plenty of free agents we can go after. So for me, it was Helm for sure, but those two, Jimmy and Cronwall, are guys that I would be completely fine saying, thank you for your service. You got us some titles. Next. Just move on. And that's not to be mean.
Thank you, next.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's not to be mean. Jimmy's a member at the club Aaron works at. She says he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. But, you did what you're going to do for us. You were phenomenal when you were good. You were a great goalie at one point. You really were. You're not there anymore. You're not producing. This team isn't going to change overnight. It's not like, next year we're going to be a title contender. So try to ship him off to somewhere where he's got a chance at lifting another trophy. Try to ship him somewhere where he can, have a last couple good years. I don't want to see the guy spend his last however many years he has in the NHL, winning 30% of the games. I'd rather, if you move him on. Cronwall has to know his time's up. He's not, Cronwall's big thing was hitting, and if he hits someone now, a body part falls off. So he needs to. I think it's time that he can accept. Maybe I can finish it after this year. I'm kind of. You're not really you're not a top line defenseman. Right now you're kind of just a roster spot because he's reached that point. He's an older guy. He's not what he used to be. So I saw in that trade, and I heard, I don't know who it was, if they even announced it, Rush, you might know, that some teams were actually calling on Cronwall. So my question is then, what did they offer you that wasn't good enough for Cronwall? I really would like to know. Because third-round pick and someone, some no-name guy, that seems like a pretty decent trade for a defenseman that's not really tearing it up for us anymore. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, but I think he's don't think you would have been offered much. I mean, we're talking about like a 38-year or 35. What is he now? 38-year-old.
Yeah.
Kind of broken down on an expiring deal. Kronwall, who really isn't giving you anything on offense. So, I mean, as a GM, it's due diligence to go like, hey, Kenny, give you a 7th for Kronwall.
Okay, if he's not doing anything for us, something's better than nothing. Like, that's what I want to know. I want to know what was offered to you that you didn't think it was, like, you had a little bit of a streak there, Kenny. You made a decent move with Jensen. You did what you could with Nyquist. Someone wanted this guy who's an expiring contract. He's clearly past his prime and not contributing anymore. Explain to me what was offered to you that was not good enough. They offered you something. I don't think
we'll ever get that answer. And it was Toronto and Columbus that had kicked the tires on him reportedly.
Okay.
But a 7th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, a 5th-round pick, hell, are
Any
just
pick.
as good as but they're just as good as an undrafted free agent statistically, and how often these guys pan out. So Kronwall had publicly asked Ken Holland not to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
Is a free agent pickup worth looking at a guy who's got an A on his sweater and has given a lot to this team and go, I can't be around you for like 2 more months, guy. You're out of here.
I get that, but what worries me...
I think it was the human aspect is why he didn't get moved.
It's the human aspect, but what worries me is and I get that. He did a lot for us. He contributed. He was he was a fan favorite for a while there with, the big hits and that. But what worries me is that shows that Holland has some kind of attachment here. So what worries me is when no one offers him anything, everybody passes, what worries me is Ken Holland going to look at him and go, you still got hockey in you? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I got at least another year with me. All right. And then you're going to offer him a contract. That doesn't make sense. You had a chance to, and you can, like you said, you can wait the 2 months and then let him leave and let him retire a Red Wing. I get all that. That's all good and well. But when we're talking about rebuild, we're talking about this being a business. I'm going to be the dick right here. I like Kronwall. He was fun to watch, but I'm going to be the dick here. This is a business. We say it all the time. You can love a guy to death that he's on your team. This is still a business. At any point, he can go. You're not guaranteed a position here. So when I get something for him, be it whatever it is, that to me makes sense. You're not going to have him after this year. You're going to have that pick, which means you could potentially have that player. So, or you have that pick to use in a trade. You have the ability, you have bargaining, you have a chip to put in the hand. That to me makes more sense than saying, you know what, you're going to retire Redmond, because you don't even know that he's going to retire. You really don't. For all you know,
and that's my greatest fear, dude. Is that I think he is comparable to a 7th-round pick, and I think that Holland definitely didn't consider it because he has loyalty issues. And I'm saying that from the understanding of watching, Malpe and Chelios and Draper grind their way out on the 4th line until then it was time to go. Dan Cleary basically getting IOU contracts of like, oh, we're going to bring you back, don't worry about it, and letting him come back. And then he falls back on comments like, oh, well, he's there for experience. Yeah, he probably is a leader. He probably has a great voice in the room. But I don't think that Holland is shrewd enough to cut those emotional ties he has to players. And that's fine. I'm not going to deny someone of a human element of the game. But we're talking about fans, right? We're fans. I don't want Dan Cleary coming back because he wrote on a napkin saying that here's your job. And I think that is why I'm absolutely petrified that Kronwall or Howard are going to get what they're making now or more for a short amount of time just to be that voice in the locker room, because I think it's a waste of time and money.
Yeah. I'm right with you. And to me, it's sentiment. It's having that sentimentality of these guys. It's the reason, getting into another sport, it's the reason Ben Wallace played for the Pistons like 4 times. He was great the first time he was here. Never wrong. We've heard me on the show. I like Ben. Russ and I, when we get a little closer and we get a little time, we're going to have the debate on why I think Ben Wallace is a Hall of Famer. We've done it via text. We're going to actually have it. But I like Ben. Ben left for Chicago for more money. Good on you. We put you on the map again because you were going nowhere in Washington. We put you on the map, had you as one of the best centers in the league in a unit that fit perfectly. You went to Chicago. We kept going. You sucked. You couldn't make it in Chicago. Guess what you did? First thing, you called Dumars and said, "Hey, can I come back?" Sure, why not? We'll have you back. You come back, didn't work. Wasn't the same. The unit wasn't the same. Pieces had moved, things had gone. You left for Cleveland. Didn't work out there for you either. Guess what you did? You came right back to Detroit because Joe Dumars, who I'm so glad is not a member of this front office anymore, great player, one of the best shooting guards, of the 90s, didn't exactly understand what his role was when it came to acquiring talent. Cough, cough, we could have had Dwayne Wade, but we went with Darko. And that's the sentiment. It's sentimental. Chauncey retired as a Piston. He came back and played for the Pistons. Rasheed Wallace came back a couple times. All these guys that I get the wanting to have that. You think, hey, maybe if he comes back, that magic comes back with him. No. I think we can all agree, Russ, you and I have talked about it a couple times. That was a team, that championship year and the years followed, that was a team that the pieces just happened to fit right at the right time. It was nothing other than it was lightning in a bottle. And for me, that's what I see with Ken Holland. He sees, like Jay said, Maltby, Chelios, Draper, Cleary, Howard, Cronwall. I get what they did for us. I get that at one point, except for Dan Cleary was a waste of time the whole time. At some point, every one of these guys was something effective for us that led to greatness. All these guys have lifted cups. They've all been pieces for these cups. But this team's not winning cups anymore. So all you're doing when you bring these guys back and re-sign them is you're really just dragging them out for the sentimental, hey, son, see that guy? That guy used to be really good at hockey. Now, I don't know why he's here, but he was still awesome at one point. That's what that is to me.
Well, I will say, I think the trading Cronwall discussion and the re-signing Cronwall discussion are two very different things. And I share your fear that Cronwall will be brought back in an expensive way.
I think there's no doubt he will be brought back.
It's terrifying. I mean, I hope the conversation goes, hey, Nick, it's been a good ride. But how would you like a scouting position? We'll send you back to Sweden and you can scout there. I hear you like doing that. Like that. That's what I hope it is. But I understand from the not wanting to send a message that you're cutthroat on your way out of the door that you would trade away a guy like that. Like I think he's earned a little bit of extra special treatment there. Not so much that he should get these evergreen contracts that Ken Holland is. Well, he gives them out as often as no trade clauses. So.
Well, no, wait. I have to check something. I might have been under a completely false assumption of something. Isn't that part of the Red Wings retirement package that you get an office job when you leave the team? I could have swore that was like their 401k. Like, hey, you're not playing here anymore. Put a suit on, and we'll just put you on the TV once a night, sitting in a box doing something. We don't know what you do. You're probably going to be Ken Holland's nut washer for a while, but that's your job.
Oh God! Well, it is, but first they have to convince them to retire.
Exactly. You said, how about we give you a scouting job? I thought that was just implied that if you retire, you automatically get a job with the Red Wings or the Grand Rapids Griffins in some capacity.
Oh yeah. No, I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I'd be surprised if he doesn't take up some kind of front office job when he's done.
Yeah. Bring back Lindstrom. Just bring back Lindstrom. That's the old thing I want to see.
The thing that scares me is not even like the potential signing of them. It's the structuring of salaries, because you have AA and you have Bertuzzi and you have Mantha that need to get paid, and they literally all expire. Their RFAs all at the same exact time. And who knows what money's going to be like then and what their talent's going to be like. But I don't want bad deals today to screw up their contracts in the future.
Fair.
That is fair. All right. I'm starting to get depressed, so let's talk about other hockey teams because this is tough. We each, before the show, talked about it a little bit, so that Russ and I don't have the same one like we do for everything else.
Hey.
We decided that we'll each weigh in on a trade we liked most. We're going to do that, but first, Jay, you pointed out one that you just, you liked, like not the actual one you picked, but you pointed out another one you liked. I got to find it because I actually highlighted it because I don't remember who it was, to be honest. Because as we know,
Kevin Hayes going from the Rangers to the Jets.
Winnipeg Jets acquire forward Kevin Hayes from the New York Rangers for Brendan Lemieux, 2019 first-round pick and 2022 conditional fourth-round pick. So Jay, what about this trade appealed to you?
I love it because the Jets are going to be nasty, and they needed talent on their team to compete with the likes of Nashville. But more so because 2/3 of their second line just got put back together. Mm-hmm. They just got Ehlers back, who's been out for a couple months with an injury, and they shored up their second line center. So their top six, just like two pieces of their top six just came into the fold because Ehlers has been gone for the beginning of this year at least. So the fact that they just got that much deeper, and if you think of dominoes, everything just moves on down the chain of, their starting four lines. I think that's super instrumental into them going for a deeper run this year and competing with other teams within their conference. Okay. So I loved it. He's a big dude, and I think he's going to do just fine in Winnipeg.
Wow, you went to Winnipeg. I like Winnipeg, so that's fine with me. I'm good with Winnipeg. Well, you mentioned the Predators, so I guess I'll go first because it ties in. My trade that I liked the most, there were a lot of great trades. I'm not going to lie, Russ, actually, I picked mine first, but Russ's was going to be the backup for me because I liked that one too. For me, though, the trade that I liked the most, just because I like this guy as a player, he's fun to watch. I think there's just no scenario here where he doesn't go in there and immediately help this team and just make them better. That's Nashville Predators acquire forward Wayne Simmons from the Flyers, forward Ryan Hartman, conditional 2020 fourth-round pick. I like Wayne Simmons. I know Russ does. Russ, you've had him over the years on your team, fantasy team, and he's done great things for you. But I like this guy. He's a scrappy guy. He's not afraid to get in anybody's face. But on the flip side, he can also play the game of hockey and play it at a high level. So you're going to a team like the Predators who they're a couple years removed from being, Stanley Cup favorites, and this is a guy that I think comes in and immediately helps them, makes them a better team. So for me, that's the trade that stuck out the most. That I think, if you're talking about a team that acquires someone for immediate impact, that's the team that did it, and they did it the best. Russ, since I teased that yours was my second one, I'll let you go next here. What was your trade that stuck out most, and why are you about it?
My trade, my favorite trade for the entire trade deadline was Matt Duchene going to Columbus. Was he the gem of the class? No, probably not, but he was up there. But it set the tone. Whereas the Simmons one does some good things for Nashville. The Duchene one did some things for everybody. So Friday before the deadline, we're not sure if Ottawa's going to be able to re-sign anybody. We're not sure what the hell Columbus is going to do, if they're going to be buyers, are they going to be sellers, are they just going to crap their pants? Oh, sorry, that was just Panarin that was crapping his pants, not the whole team. And then suddenly, Duchene is going to Columbus. We have all this clarity, and holy cow, Columbus is going for it. One number for you. This is why they made the move. 4 losses in 4 playoff series since this team has been a team. They have never won a single playoff series. They've only won 5 out of their 21 playoff games. They're going all in the most all-in fashion that we have ever seen. Is it terrible future planning? Oh, it's awful future planning, but it is incredibly exciting, and I'm going to watch. I'm absolutely going to watch, and I'm going to be paying attention to Columbus for the rest of the year because damn it, the fans deserve it, and this is going to be fun to watch.
Well, we were discussing that they've got expiring contracts left and right, so this is a swing for the fences kind of move. Because I feel bad when these high-profile players get traded. In case you guys didn't know, they also got a defenseman, Julius Bergman. I have no idea who he is, but I'm looking at it, and you know what? I don't want to leave him out. So he leaves with him from Ottawa. Ottawa gets. God, why do they always have names I don't know? Vitaly Abramov and Jonathan Davidson, 2019 or 20 first-round pick, a conditional first-round pick. So, I'm with you on it. I liked this one. This is a lot of fun. I like Matt Duchene. I'm glad he's left the clusterfuck that is Ottawa because it was bad. Ottawa is a sinking ship that someone decided, hey, it's going underwater. Let's light it on fire, too. That sounds like fun. It's bad.
And somehow it's still burning.
Yeah, exactly. It's underwater and still burning. That's how toxic it is. So it was bad. And to see him go there, and I love, like you said, I do love that this is legitimately like we're going to lose a lot of guys this year. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. But it's an enticing thing. Columbus gets in the playoffs and is able to make a little run, get that first series win, move a little bit. Some of these guys may look and go, "Hey, we kind of got something here. Maybe I'll hang around. Maybe I'll give it a shot." I mean, I got to think Duchesne is probably looking for that home. I mean, this is his third or fourth team in the last 2 years now at Colorado for a little bit.
Third.
Because how long was he in Nashville?
He was never in Nashville. He was part of a 3-team deal.
Oh, he was part of the 3-team deal. That's right. Okay. So, I mean, Ottawa, that's a bad taste in your mouth. So, sure. So I got to think, Duchesne might be open to the potential. I don't know what their cap situation is, but I got to think Bobrovsky and Duchesne alone is going to cost you some serious coin. What you have left is what you have left, I guess.
They'll have $30 million of open cap space next year. So they've got room.
Yeah, I mean, I like the trade. I like the move. I think it's one of those ones that you showed that you're done with this, just making the playoffs scenario. You're ready to make the next step and push forward, and it's a smart move. Duchesne's not a bad piece to have on your team. So I guess we'll see what they do with it. Justin, I want to get to yours because I like your trade. It's Matt Zuccarello goes to Dallas from New York. I got to ask real quick, though. Did either of you guys, because this actually hit me a little bit, did either of you guys see Henrik Lundqvist when he was asked about Zuccarello being traded?
Multiple times.
That one hit hard because I get these guys get tight because Zuccarello was on that team with him for quite a while. They became very close, but I can't remember the last time I've seen a guy not be able to finish the sentence. He genuinely couldn't finish his sentence. That's how hard it hit him. So that to me was really touching because I feel like you don't see that as much in sports anymore. You see these guys say, "Oh well, we're good buddies, we're great," and you just think you're good. It's like those friends you had. I almost said those friends you had in high school when both friends, but it's like those friends you had or those sports teammates. The ones that when you were playing that sport, you were really good buddies. But once the season was over, you probably didn't hang out as much. You probably weren't as close as you really thought you were. But this, you could genuinely tell these guys were friends. So, Jay, I'll let you talk on it. Dallas Stars acquire Matt Zuccarello from the New York Rangers for a conditional 2019 second-round draft pick and a conditional 2020 third-round draft pick. Of all these trades, because we still have one more to talk about that I completely skipped over, but of all these trades, what is it about the Zuccarello trade that caught your eye the most and was the most enticing?
So Russ already touched on the conditions, and it was just the way that New York was able to get those conditions in their favor. Now, it sucks because Zuccarello already broke his arm in his first game playing for Dallas, which Zuc has to play, I think, 50% of his playoff games in order for those conditions to get met. It's mitigating, potential earnings, and the fact that they built those conditions within the pick. It speaks on New York as a whole. And the reason why every time New York does something, I pay attention. February 8th, 2018, they wrote a letter to their fans. At the end of the letter, they wrote, "We appreciate that you've always stood by us, and we ask you to remain by our side as we undertake this exciting new chapter from a promise and change." The fact that they are so transparent in what they're doing, and they're telling their fans up front, we're going to suck, we're going to trade, and we're going to acquire picks, and then they're following through on that promise by getting rid of the likes of Hayes, Zuccarello, and McQuaid this year, getting conditions that help them. One of their conditions is their third-round pick from Tampa. If Tampa wins the Stanley Cup, it becomes a first-round pick. Granted, it'll be the last pick in the draft or for that round, but Tampa's the favorite to win this year. So it's a very small spot where you start with Zuccarello, but when you look at the New York Rangers as a whole, I want the Red Wings to act like the New York Rangers because they have set themselves up for years of success, and I'm jealous.
All righty. Russ, any thoughts, comments on that one?
No, I mean, he hit it right on the head. That note was surprisingly very refreshing to hear from a team that, especially for rooting for a team that claims that a rebuild will take 10 years, apparently. It was nice to hear ownership come out and say, yeah, we're going to tank. It's going to suck. They ducked out of the way as a black and white cookie got thrown at their head, and then they've executed their plan, and they're doing it well. There is a rise in the use of conditional picks and trades, and New York's at the forefront of it. History usually shines down well on teams that are at the forefront of some kind of trend. I like the way they're going.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said something on that because I'm not going to lie. I had nothing. Jay covered it. Well, it's just Jay covered it perfect for me. He said exactly what I would have said in that situation, and it is, it's tough.
To tie real quickly, if I can, to tie it back into Lundqvist crying. Like, and then you got your guys on your team that have a brotherhood, and they're like bonding. As like, what else do they need to do that's perfect? Because they have their teammates that are connected to the hip, and they love each other, and their ownership does everything right. It's baffling how awesome they are. So sorry, yeah. I need to stop bloviating about the New York Rangers, but they've got me all excited.
That's fine. So the last trade I want to talk about, because I feel like in our conversations, I don't know why, and I could be totally wrong. So if I'm totally wrong, let me know, because we have an edit button and I can make this go away. But I could have swore in our conversations I saw the name Mark Stone a couple times when talking about trades. I want me showing my hockey ignorance. What is it about this trade as he goes to Vegas with Tobias Lindberg from Ottawa for Eric Brandstrom and forward Oscar Lindberg and a 2020 second-round pick? What is it about this trade that makes it that big of a deal, Russ?
Well, because Stone was the number one player available at the trade deadline and got locked up long-term at a reasonable salary. Plus, it further plummets Ottawa deeper and deeper. But it actually sets them up kind of nice, because I think if it was at all possible to re-sign Stone, they would have.
Mm-hmm.
Stone had indicated he kind of wanted to be there, but then came out with his Vegas press conference and said signing with a team that was committed to being successful was a big thing. Feels like a shot right across the bow there. But Ottawa did get Brandstrom, which was creative. They didn't stick to the whole fall in love with a first-round pick. This is a guy that has the upside to be a top two defenseman. Like this him and Shabbat next to each other could be very dangerous in the next 3 to 5 years here when they're both ready and entering their prime. So it's a creative, good return for Ottawa, even though it has been panned a lot. And it's Vegas being Vegas again, baby. Like this team, you weren't a team 2 years ago. You weren't a team, and now you're stealing the top guy in the trade market. You go into the Stanley Cup Finals last year, this team can do no wrong in their honeymoon. I don't know when the honeymoon's going to end. It might never end. So it's exciting all around, except if you were, an Ottawa fan who can't watch Vegas games and was a big Mark Stone fan. Then I'm sorry, buddy. Hang in there.
Hey, it can't be that bad. He got out of Ottawa, so everything's
fine.
fine.
Yeah, good for Stone.
Everything's fine. This last one, because we're getting ready to wrap up here, but this last one, there's nothing to talk about. I just wanted to point out that Thomas Yurko got traded for a guy that's name is Cliff Poo. That's just something for me. Just a little something for me. It's very enjoyable. So that's going to do it for the trade deadline, all that. Big moves, a lot of stuff. Interesting to see how it shakes out. Justin, I love how you pointed out you love the Zuccarello. I don't love it because I don't want to see someone get hurt, but I love how you pointed out the Zuccarello trade and then he breaks his arm. It's just...
Yeah, because I got on my fantasy team, and I lost him in that regard as well. So it was a kick in the nuts.
Good for you.
Oh, bad for you?
No. We made it clear. If you mention hockey or if you mention fantasy, you have to get hit with that. So that's just how it is.
We need principles.
Yeah. My last thing, just because we rarely ever get to talk about breaking sports. We've had it happen a couple times, but we rarely get to talk about it. Russ, this one's kind of more geared to you because I brought it up while we were waiting for Justin to be ready, because Justin needs his time. He's got to do his hair before the show.
Well, my guy.
He's bald, everyone. That's the joke.
Yeah, he's bald. Justin has no hair. He's combing his beard.
This is an audio podcast. They can't see him.
It's fine. I'll post. Justin will be the picture for this podcast.
Oh,
this
no.
week.
Don't you dare.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that to you. No, Russ, my we're getting way off track here, guys. Focus.
Oh, God,
seriously, focus. My last thing. Bryce Harper, 13 years, $330 million with the Phillies. Presumably the contract that he will retire with. There's no reason to assume this guy should have another contract. I mean, he'll be 39 by the time this contract expires. obviously you could probably play baseball when you're 40, but I feel like your next contract's going to be very, very tiny in comparison. This coming off the fact that Machado just got a $300 million contract. I don't remember. I believe a player for the Rockies signed a big contract too. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head.
Arenado.
Thank you. But all this coming from the fact that Bryce Harper was the big chase. One, little surprising, Russ, that it took this long for him to finally get locked in, or do you think that there were probably a lot of offers? He just was being incredibly picky about what he took and where he went.
I think it's very odd. This whole MLB offseason has proved that free agency right now is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Spring training has already started. They're already playing some scrimmage games, and you're just signing him now?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? And a lot of the big other off-season potential acquisitions aren't being made yet. Teams are holding out guys, and really, he got term. Bryce Harper did, but we see $330 million. We assume it's a lot. It doesn't even rank him in the top 10 for average annual salary if you take inflation into consideration. Like, he's only making like 25.6 a year. Arenado just signed for 32.5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he gets 13 years. He's good for the rest of his career with this single contract, but this is the owners, I think, collectively bending free agency, and it's looking like it's broken.
Yeah, that's fair. And but for me, the thing that kind of sticks out, because like you said, with this contract, it's money, like it's legit big time money, but it doesn't put him.
Security.
It doesn't put him very high up at all. And this is a guy that a couple years ago was saying he wanted a $500 million contract. He wanted to be that name that just got the big ridiculous deal. Still got the big ridiculous deal, but at some point you got to wonder. I don't see the connection. The Phillies are not a team that's going to be knocking on the door for the World Series here in the next year or two. They still have other things to fix. If you're going to go for that big contract where you're not going to be making like ridiculous $100 million a year kind of money, why aren't you looking in the contenders? There was rumor that the Dodgers were very interested. That's a team that's knocking on the door for the World Series every year. It makes me wonder, you didn't do this you kind of did it for the money because it's a big contract, but when it's all said and done, you're not making like, top league money year to year. I just feel like, what does the ring not mean anything to this guy, or is he just kind of like, oh, someone finally offered me a deal, I'll take it? That's what it kind of feels like.
He's got 13 years for them to be competitive.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel bad if you're a Philadelphia fan of all or any of their sports, between losing Nick Foles, losing Wayne Simmons, and gaining Bryce Harper. That's a tough week out there right now, man. Oof.
Hey, you got the Sixers, okay? That's something.
Yeah, trust the process, baby.
That's the other thing. I mean, this is real quick, but Nick Foles, I don't understand this move. I really don't understand this move. And I want to talk real quick because, Jay, I have a question for you when it comes to the Bryce Harper contract thing and all that. But I don't understand this move. I understand that Wentz is your QB of the future. Wentz has gone down 2 of the last 3 years with an injury. There's no guarantee that there's some wonder potion that this guy's going to be super healthy next year. He's still, knee surgeries and all that. He's still not a guarantee. You're letting go the guy who's, at least for the last couple of years, been a consistently great quarterback for you. I understand you can't afford it. He's going to take up too much money, but I just don't get this move. At some point, you got to think, do we maybe see if someone's interested in Wentz and stick with Foles? Well, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a win-now league. If Wentz goes down, who's your backup? Who is their backup quarterback? Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That answered my question.
You could say that about a bunch of teams. Like
you can, but the Eagles are a legitimate Super Bowl contender right now.
Yeah. Pick another Super Bowl contender and tell me that their backup quarterback would be able to keep them as a Super Bowl contender.
But that's what I'm saying. You have a winning formula right now. Why are you messing with it?
Because it takes 2 people to sign a contract, and Nick Foles doesn't want to be somebody's backup, making a pittance. He wants to go get his money while he can, while he's a hot name.
But what I'm saying is, then why don't you try to deal Wentz, who's still on a rookie contract, someone will take him. Someone needs a quarterback. The Jaguars would take him in a heartbeat.
You're going to trade away your future quarterback for career journeyman Nick Foles, who seems to have found a home for this year, doing well. Like
for the last 2 years, he won them a Super Bowl.
He could turn into a pumpkin tomorrow and be the Nick Foles from the rest of his career.
And Wentz could drop back on the very first play of the first game and shred his other knee. There's no guarantees to anything in this game.
Oh, God, no. But if we're going to talk like that, we're never going to get anywhere in any conversation. I would rather take the risk that Carson Wentz, who is shown to be better than Nick Foles more consistently when healthy, than that aging Nick Foles is going to continue to be, holy shit, Nick Foles doing that?
Yeah, okay.
It means risk mitigation.
I bet the Columbus Blue Jackets would trade away both of them. Just saying.
Well played. No, I see what you're saying, Ross. To me, like we always say, this is a win now league. Yes, Carson Wentz is your QB of the future. He really is. But right now, he's going through a little bit of a spell where he can't seem to stay healthy, and he seems to get injured right into playoff time. So it's all for nothing if you have an 11-5 season, but on the final game, Carson Wentz shreds his knee or fractures his arm. So, and I get that can happen to anyone, but it's just one of those things that, you can't afford Nick Foles, but I think you're winning with Nick Foles. The guy's a Super Bowl MVP. He's gotten you into the playoffs twice. It seems to be clicking. It seems to be working. You don't mess with a heater kind of thing. So, but I mean, we'll see. But Jay, real quick, because we do got to wrap this one up. We were talking about this big deal. At some point, do you think that sports in relation to contracts has just finally gotten to a stupidly out-of-hand point? I mean, who the hell needs $330 million as a contract to hit a ball? It's just so. I know you're Mr. Get that money, pay their money. So I want to genuinely ask you: has sports contracts just become too ridiculous?
Yeah, there's got to be a ceiling on it. I mean, like if you have your own career, I mean, people in management and ownership, they probably know what certain roles in the company, what the ceiling is, but you never really say it out loud. I think sports is something where it needs to be said out loud, because at a certain point in time, it's got to stop. You're being compensated to a degree for your time and your anguish and your pain and your suffering and blah, 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 all the things that make you valued by the organization. But $330 million, my God, it is outrageous. And I know because was it Machado who just got $300 million 2 weeks ago too?
$300 million, yep.
It's just all right, so what? Adam Smith is going to get $500 million in 2 years. It's just there has to be a ceiling. I get that there's inflation, and I get a dollar in the 1960s compared to now is completely different, but it is astronomical where it's at right now. You got student athletes in college who aren't getting paid a dime, and then you got stud athletes who are making $300 million plus these days.
Don't bring up college athletes not getting paid. We'll be here till 3:00 in the morning with the debate
right
over this.
Damn it, we said we were wrapping up.
Exactly. We are wrapping up. That's going to do it for us here on Armchair Sports Talk. I texted these guys last night. I was so pumped to get back in here. It's been a couple weeks. Through the magic of radio, we actually haven't recorded a show in 3 weeks. I know one dropped a couple weeks ago, but that we recorded that previously. That's the magic of this thing, that we get to do this and have such a great time with it. So I was just chomping at the bit to get in here. These guys can tell you I actually took notes, and I don't take notes. I just read it off the computer screen. So excited to get in here. Always enjoy doing this. Love doing it with you two. Justin, Marcus, we appreciate taking the time today, buddy.
Hey, thanks for letting me tell you how the Wings are going to lose the rest of the year.
We always appreciate it. Yeah, your insight it's valuable in some way. We're figuring out how, so we can get the monetary equivalent. Russ Ivanak, I say it every time. You make us look a lot smarter than we really are. Stats are always great. We appreciate it. And is there anything that we bring up that you just don't know the answer to?
Anytime you talk about golf, I got no clue, bud.
And to tease everyone, next week's show all about the PGA Tour and its impact. So
another 3-week break.
Another 3-week break. There we go. And I'm your host, Eric Dorsch. That's one small step for us. One giant leap back in Detroit sports broadcasting.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. May God have mercy on your soul.